Hello, and welcome to the UVCE Chronicles podcast. Today we have with us not one but two very special guests, Shashank and Arathi Narayan. Shashank from the batch of 1991 is an engineer with a diverse experience. He has worked at L&T, did a master's at Penn State, and then joined AGI, which is currently acquired by ANSYS. He is the CTO of AGI and he leads a diverse team of engineers and scientists. They have been involved in aerospace and satellite operations, and they have even contributed to Chandrayaan 3 by ISRO. Arathi Narayan, from the batch of 92, worked at Kirloskar, pursued her MS in OCR and image processing at Penn State. She worked at Financial Software Systems, then went on to take a short break to raise her kids, and is currently working at Amstek Digital Solutions. She is a senior test and release engineer. Apart from this, Arathi runs a Bharatanatyam school in Pennsylvania, and they have held a diverse number of performances in the tri state area. Join us as we listen to their story.
Born and brought up in Bangalore, raised in Bangalore, and UVC was certainly amongst our best memories. If I look back, those are the most wonderful memories that we had a great time, and not only learning, but some of the best connections that we made. First and foremost, each other, but also all the good friends and relationships that we built during those 4 years were very formative in our growth and evolution. So very, very grateful for those wonderful memories and those wonderful connections. We still relive those memories along with those relationships that we formed back in those days. And we look back very fondly and we cherish those memories.
All right. That's a wonderful feeling for us as well. And so I'd like to start with a slightly off the beat question. How did the two of you meet?
Computer lab. The funny thing is, Grishma, I'm glad you brought this up because back in the days when Shashank and I, both of us were in the computer science major in UVC, right? There was one lab that we would go to, and there was just a mainframe with terminals, and you'd have to take turns going from one terminal to the other because there were more people than terminals in the lab. So there was just one computer lab that everybody who was doing computers was using. So that's how Shashank and we met. I met at the computer lab. But now, of course, everybody has their portable devices, their cell phones. Back in the days, it was laser printers and mainframes and terminals.
Yeah, that's how we met, Grishma. In fact, my first year, given that I was a year senior than Arathi, the mainframe computer had broken down. So we did not have a computer lab for the first whole year of my engineering. So that is how it started. And so I had all the time in the world to meet with Arathi and get to know her. And of course, she was a very beautiful and a very intelligent young woman. And I was certainly behind her from day one. So that's how it started because I had a lot of time on my hands to look at Arathi and go behind her.
Okay. I'm the most surprising element of this story is that UVC had a mainframe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure before mainframes, it was probably that was the time of mainframe computers. It's kind of coming around now, isn't it, with the cloud and everything else, right? It's a full circle if you think about the fact of how technology is evolving. But yes, UVC had mainframe computers.
So what does a day in your lives look like today?
So mine is a bit crazy because I am a software engineer by the day, and then in the evenings I morph into this classical dancer come dance teacher. So my work is I evolved from being a software developer into a QA person. So I do embedded software testing. So firmware testing is what I do right now. And so, my day involves working with hardware that we're developing as well as the firmware. So testing the firmware on the hardware as well as using some kind of simulation to test. And then I do have a little lab in my home office, and then I do also go into the office a couple of days a week, meet my colleagues who are amazing engineers. So that part of my brain is so excited to meet these wonderful, passionate engineers who love what they do and who are so good at it. And then by the evening, I have my dance kids coming in, so I teach them dance. And then weekends, sometimes we have rehearsals for dance, and then we have some shows as well. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I do, and I'll let Shashank take over.
Yeah, mine is crazy in a different way, but certainly I don't have to kind of skip between my left brain and the right brain like Arathi does. I am just a small clarification. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of ANSYS Government Initiatives. There's a broader CTO for ANSYS, which I am not. But I'll explain the difference later if necessary. So in my role as the CTO, I lead our product development and product management. So it's a fairly large team. We make aerospace software, commercial aerospace software. So it truly is rocket science. People say it's not rocket science. It is rocket science in our case. So I lead a large team of brilliant subject matter experts in aerospace and physics and math. All the kinds of things that we learn in engineering, right, and in school. So that is the kind of work that I'm involved in. We have mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, physics majors, math majors, you name it, right? And that is the team that I manage. And I'm involved in setting the product strategy and helping with product development, but also supporting go-to-market. So working with customers, making sure that there's business success. So I have a pretty comprehensive set of responsibilities in my role as a CTO. But yeah, that's typically how my day goes, is dealing with all those aspects of the business, starting from product development to product management to business success.
That both of those things are really interesting to me. I personally can't seem to find the time to do something that's, non-academic. So, the fact that you're handling so many things at the same time, and Shashank sir is doing such great things with his career, and so are you, and it's all wonderful to hear.
Thank you, Krishna. But you know what? I think the fact that you guys are in UVC itself tells us that you can do whatever you set your mind to, because getting into UVC is no small feat. So the fact that you guys are a part of UVC is a legacy that you're living up to, and I think you guys will go places. Trust me. I mean, you've been interviewing so many of the alumni, and you know that, so you will follow the same footsteps, if not go further. So hats off to you guys.
Thank you for that. And okay. So Shashank, can you tell me can you give me some insights as to the aerospace and all of the rocket science that you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, no, it has certainly been an incredible ride. I've been with this company for 25 years. And I never thought I would get into aerospace, right? Because starting with a computer science background, this journey of mine began without even me realizing the kind of impact that this would have on me and that I would have on this particular field. Over the years, what is incredible is with using our software, the kinds of space missions and national security missions that we've supported, right? Because aerospace and defense is the kind of customers that we support. So, for example, we have supported ISRO. So the Chandrayaan mission, for example, they use our product called SDK. It used to be called Satellite Toolkit, but now it's called Systems Toolkit. So they've used Chandrayaan to design missions, to validate their missions, and also not only for mission design, but also satellite mission operations. So I come pretty frequently to India to meet with the ISRO team. So in fact, I was in India in June to speak at ISRO's SMOPS, which stands for Satellite Mission Operations Conference. So I provided the keynote at the SMOPS 2023 conference recently. So, and when I was in India, I also met with SAC in Hyderabad and Ahmedabad and a bunch of other ISRO locations. So same thing in the US. We support NASA and we support European space agencies. We support JAXA in Japan. So those are the kinds of customers that we support with some incredible space missions, with some incredibly important national security missions in both in India and in the US and a few other countries that are friendly to India and US, right? So that's typically how my day goes, and that's how those are the kind of customers that we've supported, which is incredibly exciting.
Very exciting, of course. I was quite interested in aerospace as a kid. I don't know what I'm going to do now that I'm in college, but let's see. And Aarti, so I saw in your LinkedIn that you seem to be doing data analytics. And your master's degree was also in a field with machine learning. So can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, so when I was doing my master's, I was working in a lab where we did optical character recognition, which is a branch of machine learning. So my project while I was doing my master's was more in trying to digitize the drawings for telephone companies. That back then there was a New England telephone exchange, so we were trying to digitize that using optical character recognition. Once I got out of there, I was more into mostly into machine learning, where it was actually trying to use optical character recognition to cut leather for car seats. That was a brief stint before I switched completely into application software for a financial software company. And then I took a break to raise my kids, and then I went back into a company called Phoenix Integration, which is again simulation software that they use for a model-based design. So I was kind of getting into that, and then I ended up eventually into quality assurance, so QA for this company that I work for called Amstek Digital Solutions. We are in the field of IoT, and we do condition monitoring for freight trains in the US and in many other countries. So it's only for freight trains and not for passenger trains at this point. So we do the end-to-end M2M system, where we have the hardware and we have the embedded software that goes on the hardware, and then we have the application side. And of course, we have the database where we have all this data that comes from each of these units that are sitting on a car. So freight car has a certain condition. Is it moving? Is it not moving? Is there any kind of, is there an impact on the freight car? So we're constantly monitoring the freight cars and sending all this data to our database. And so me being the QA person, I'm making sure that our entire product is working well, especially more focused on the embedded side, so the firmware. So I do a lot of firmware testing. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It gets me very excited to work on this entire M2M system. So that's pretty much what I'm doing as far as my engineering goes. And like, I think after so many years of being in different fields, you really understand that engineering is something that's a very wholesome kind of thing. You have to think through every single phase of a product. It's not necessarily just software or hardware or the database side, but something that kind of gets your brain going. As women engineers, I should emphasize that we should never be kind of hesitant to open up anything and figure out what's inside. I know a lot of us growing up in India, we're always told, oh, don't touch that, don't break it, don't open it. But I think engineering is something where we always have to have that curiosity to learn. Doesn't matter if you're in an engineering field, always be curious, always be wanting to learn. And that's what I've learned over these past years being in college in America, as well as working with so many different kinds of people. Kinds of gets you, constantly thinking. And that's one thing for women engineers. Don't be afraid to jump into anything, whether it's mechanical, electrical, hardware, software. Just do it. Aerospace, go for it. There's no end to what you can do.
That is a very interesting thought to me. Learning by making and learning by breaking.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I know like for guys, and especially when I was growing up, I mean, I'm sure it's changed for you guys now, but girls were never told, oh, you know, go run around, do whatever, be dirty and come back in, right? You got to be clean. You don't want to do things that are not girly, right? But now I think, there's no difference between a girl and a boy. Do whatever, just go explore, get yourself, like, get your hands dirty, break things, open up things. And that's where that engineering mind starts coming in. And that's a true engineer, right? We all want to do engineering, but if we don't get deep into that, anything, open up your computer. And that's what I see in this country. A lot of kids are very passionate about engineering because they want to open up, they want to build their own robots, or they want to build their own little computer from do it yourself kind of a mentality is what we have to cultivate. And that's what I kind of learned working with a lot of people here.
All right. So, you also run a dance school. Could you tell us something about it? Some of your notable achievements.
Yeah, so growing up, I always had an affinity for dance. That's what my mother says. So when I was very young, apparently I would dance in front of the mirror, and my mom was, okay, maybe I should put her in dance. And that's how I started learning Bharatanatyam. I went to Gurus U.S. Krishna Rao and Chandrabhaga Devi in Bangalore when I was 8 years old, and I've been learning from them till I moved to this country. And I had taken a break from dance, raising my kids, but then, dance was something that I was always passionate about. So I decided to get back into teaching dance because that's the best way you can keep in touch with that art form. Once you start teaching to a younger generation, it motivates you to continue to learn, continue to perform. So when I was growing up in India, I performed in a bunch of different places. I performed on TV. I performed for the India International Trade Fair in Delhi. We performed in Kerala. We did a couple of dance dramas. And then once I moved here and I started teaching with my students and we've performed in a whole bunch of places around the area here in Pennsylvania, in New Jersey, in Delaware. We've performed for the Classical Dance Festival in Delaware. We've performed at the Please Touch Museum in Philadelphia. We performed at this wonderful event where the mayor of Philadelphia was there. So we performed for India Day in the city. So we've tried to kind of come up with the thought that dance spreads joy, and through dance, we're trying to spread joy to people around. And we are trying to spread this beautiful art form to our next generation, as well as expose the non-Indians to our art form, which is so beautiful. And when they watch it, they're just blown away by our dance. So that's something is my mission is joy through dance, to try to spread joy and happiness through our art form.
Having learned Bharatanatyam myself, that is a very beautiful thought to me too. And I'm very glad to see that you are keeping a lot of touch with your roots. And I hope that you continue to achieve great success in both of your fields.
Thank you, Grishma. That is very sweet of you. But that's right. When you say touch, keeping in touch with your roots, that's exactly what it is. Because a lot of the kids that are of Indian origin, born and raised in this country, Bharatanatyam is a beautiful way to keep in touch with their roots so they understand what our culture is in India, what our different languages are, and they understand some of the beautiful stories that are told in the epics in the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. And these kids are like sponges; they absorb so beautifully, and it's kind of challenging and very interesting to be able to talk to these kids and kind of connect them with the way India is, right? So it's a beautiful kind of two different cultures trying to blend them in through Bharatanatyam. And these kids are pretty amazing. They pick it up very well and they're doing very well here. So it's wonderful to see that.
Especially in the age of, representation or the lack thereof. That is something very important. A lot of one's personal identity comes from their culture, I think. And
Definitely. And I feel like nowadays with, this, with all the YouTube shorts and the TikTok videos and Instagram reels, and of course, film, song, film music, pop, Bollywood, it's very hard for all of us to connect with a classical art form, whether it's music or dance. So if you try to get these kids to love it and to come up on stage and show whatever they have with a lot of joy and happiness and passion, I think we can still keep that beautiful, you know, age old heritage and culture moving forward. Because it's very easy to get distracted with technology nowadays.
truly, speaking from personal experience, that is. Okay, so Shashank, can you tell us something about the keynote lecture that you gave at ISRO? What exactly was it about?
Yeah, so given that it was it was incredible. First of all, the whole conference. Congratulations to ISRO. It is amazing to see how far India has come, not just as a as a in terms of the economy, but also as a space economy, as a space driven economy. Right? It's pretty incredible to see the bright people at ISRO that are leading, and of course, all the evidence points to the most recent. Chandrayaan 3 landing on the dark side of the moon. So that was incredible. So anyway,
And all the women.
all the men and women, right?
Women.
Both are women driven as well. So it is pretty incredible, the diversity in ISRO. So my keynote was more about the changes that are happening in space, right? If you think about new space, if you think about SpaceX, if you think about the incredible business opportunities that are in front of all the countries, including India, in terms of space. So I spoke about the business opportunities that exist, the changes that are driving the space economy, especially when it comes to cislunar, which is the focus on lunar missions and beyond lunar missions. The impact of AI/ML on space, that is a pretty tremendous impact. So there are all these driving changes that are transforming and that are causing step changes in our progress towards space. United States, for example, has started the Artemis mission, which is the most recent lunar program after the Apollo program that culminated back in the 70s, right? So that was the gist of my talk, keynote address at SMOPS 2023, was just the excitement around space and the business of space and the opportunities in space for countries like India and the United States. And it was very well received, and I'm still in touch with a lot of my peers there at ISRO. So looking forward to coming back there again, most likely in 2024, because for us we have a lot of business opportunities in India as a result of our contributions to space. So looking forward to coming back again, hopefully for another ISRO conference in India next year.
So, what exactly inspired you to get into aerospace? It's quite a different.
So yeah. So I think I said this a little earlier. It was very happenstance. I was looking for I was working at Honeywell before I joined ANSYS government initiatives. I was working for Honeywell building embedded control systems, and I was looking for a slightly different kind of role, and I came across AGI, and the rest is history. Once I started working for AGI, once I got addicted to the excitement that is space, there was no looking back for me. And that was it. I learned about, because computer science is one of those fields where you learn computer science, right? You can apply computer science to anything like manufacturing. Arathi is applying it to IoT. So there is the application that you find is what makes computer science exciting. And to me, that was aerospace. The application of software to aerospace is what made things exciting for me. And once I discovered space, and especially in the last decade, the changes in space are pretty amazing. So it's hard to walk away from that. And now, as part of ANSYS now, we truly use the multi-physics simulation, right? Whether it's the thermal, mechanical, electrical, electronics, all these different simulations, we bring it into space and we simulate the space missions using these multi-physics simulations. So that to me is exciting, right? It's not building, not to minimize anybody else, but it is a fairly complex application of engineering is what we do. And that is what is exciting for me day in and day out.
So this is another slightly tricky question. It's not tricky per se, but so the both of you have come quite far very far in both your careers, and you knew each other from right before your career started. So how have your roles towards each other changed from then to now? It's quite a tricky question, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think when, UVC is a great place because you meet your classmates who are also studying in the same kind. They also want to do something of their life. The fact that we all are from UVC means, you want to do engineering, you want to do something in either that, or you want to use that as a stepping stool for something else. And the fact that both of us were in UVC, we kind of hit it off more on an intellectual level. I mean, we would talk about anything and everything under the roof, right? And I think we kind of understood that, yeah, we both want to do something in life, whether it's engineering, non-engineering, and we've always supported each other that way. And I think it's the same. I don't think anything is different. I mean, when I'm teaching dance, he's cooking. When he's traveling on work, for ISRO, when he's in India, I'm cooking and working and taking care of the kids. So it's a balance. And I think we've learned that as a team. We're always a team, whether we were, even before we got married, we were studying together at Penn State. So that support, that understanding has to be there in a relationship. I think it has to be an equal footing. Somebody does the groceries, cooking, somebody does brings, goes to work. So there's always that balance that I think we've been able to achieve, right?
Yeah. So, certainly. I mean, it has been a lifelong learning experience, right? You don't necessarily learn these skills. They don't teach you these kinds of skills in college. And we learn from each other. I've learned a lot from her, for example, right? Like she said, we both were in UVCE together, and we both came to Penn State, and we both did our masters together in Penn State in computer science. In fact, she and I took a course where we did a project together on computer security, right? So certainly from that perspective, in every way, we're peers. So we're about the same age. We've had the same kind of background experience and everything else. So it's not like I knew anything more than her or she knew anything more than me. We've evolved together in pretty much every aspect of our life, given that, like you said, we've been together for like the majority part of our lives, and we're still learning, right? I've learned cooking, like she said. She's taught me cooking and all kinds of things. We travel together quite a bit. In fact, she and I were in Japan just a couple of weeks ago. And I was there for work, and then she joined me, and then we spent some time vacationing, and we learned a lot from her.
Yeah, I think, Grishma, I think it's a partnership. Whatever, I mean, relationships, I think a lot of us don't learn when we are young. We are never taught what it is to be in a relationship. I think we have to teach our younger generation that it's a partnership. Both of us have to work equally, support each other. And that's something I think the younger generation will really benefit from, because that respect, the trust has to come wherever, if you're at home or you're at work with your team, there always has to be. And especially me being a woman engineer, I'm the only woman engineer in my office at some meetings. So being that, it is a bit of a challenge because you're dealing with men most of the time, and you will know that too. Being a woman engineer, you are always in the minority. So, that respect and trust will get built if you give them that respect and trust. So, and there's always those preconceived notions that, oh, she's a woman, she has to stay home, she has to cook, the man has to go and make the money. So a lot of these things, are changing, and I'm glad we're all having these conversations going forward. We want to empower our women, and we want to educate our men to also learn to support women. So I think it's a good relationship we have. We've kind of evolved to understand all of these things because we come from we're the Gen X's, right? We're the Gen X people.
I love to see the very beautiful relationship that you two share. And I can hear a lot of college students very furiously taking notes right now.
Oh man.
Well, we can tell you all the mistakes we made. I think they'll have a lot more notes for that. But it is a learning. It's a learning experience. It's an evolution. It's not easy, but it is wonderful.
So you said that you two are learning quite a few things together. What's something new that either of you have tried recently?
Yeah. So for me, certainly, there is a lot of cultural events that, because of Arathi's Bharatanatyam passion and her dance school, there are a lot of cultural influences in our family. Certainly, as a result of that, I've been learning photography. So I've invested quite a bit in some fairly expensive cameras and lenses, because when Arathi and our daughters are on stage along with their students, I love to shoot video, and I also take photos. So photography is something that I've learned. I'm still not great at it, but it's a constant learning. And also, most recently, I started learning the Carnatic music online right now, and I love to sing. And my dream is someday that I'm singing and my wife and my daughter are dancing. But as I'm getting older, that window is closing very rapidly. But you can always dream. So, but for the last 1 year, I've started learning Carnatic music. So again, but I believe in that lifelong learning. Right, you're never too old to learn anything. I read books. I try to diversify my learning experiences.
Yeah,
that's me.
Yeah, same. I mean, we try to. I've been motivated by him learning Carnatic music, so I'm starting to learn music myself and start. Even though I learned dance, I wish I'd also learned music along with dance. But there's only so many things you can do in a day, right? So yeah, we're kind of always in this quest of trying to keep our lives exciting, rich, and learning. Learning is something that we want to do. I mean, we have family members who are very inspirational. Like my dad at 83 still runs a factory in India. He has a manufacturing factory in India. So there's all this inspiration that comes, and you want to continue to learn. You want to continue to um, inspire the next generation. So that's something we want to do. Of course, we don't want our brain cells to die, right?
Correct.
So keep learning.
keep learning, and take care of yourself, right? I mean, eating well and exercising is the foundation for us to do anything else. So we try to mix that up with fitness as well. So eating well and fitness is something else.
Because the other thing I did not say is, growing up in India, we never learned yoga. A lot of us never did yoga, did not understand what yoga was all about. And then I came to this country and I learned yoga from an American lady who learned from BKS Iyengar. So she taught me yoga and I fell in love with yoga. So that's something I've continued to do to help me mentally and physically. So yoga abhyas is something I started much later on when I was an adult in the US. So I've tried to teach that to the rest of my family.
Certainly, I certainly have learned yoga from Arathi, and as inflexible as I am, I certainly believe that it has helped me to a limited extent, but that's mostly my fault because I'm not as consistent with yoga as I'm supposed to be. But certainly, I have learned yoga from Arathi.
That is very beautiful, actually. I really like the idea that you people spend a lot of time trying to make your life so much more meaningful. And I hope all of our viewers, viewers, feel the same way towards their lives, because it's quite important, I think, to have a lot more meaning to what you do than just a daily grind.
Certainly.
I mean, especially in jobs that involve a lot of tech, I think that it's very easy to get into like the grind and not diversify. You read books, you do yoga, you sing and dance, and that's a whole lot of culture and essence that you add to your daily life. So,
yeah. And go ahead.
Yeah, I think all of us need to spend some time just doing something that brings us joy. We do have our jobs, and I know a lot of us are passionate about our jobs and our careers. That's great, but I think outside of that, whether it's traveling or photography or singing, dancing, I think that's what makes the world a more beautiful place. If you spend a little bit of time just doing something that brings you that joy.
Yeah, I believe hobbies and adding color to your life with all these different kinds of hobbies it's very important, because if not, you become a very one-sided personality, right? You need the different facets, like a diamond. You need all these different faces to make the diamond, and that's how you have to kind of look at your life. Is every side of your personality has to shine, right? It has to sparkle. So if you think of your life as a diamond, then just polishing one side of the diamond is not good enough, right? You have to kind of think of it holistically to lead a rich life, and it certainly works. But it is very gratifying when you kind of get that final feeling that you've been working on everything and you've been enjoying the fruits of everything.
I do think a lot of the next generation is very good at exploring different things now. I feel like in India and even here, I see a lot of the younger generation pursuing different hobbies or interests because they have more opportunities now. So I think that's a great thing, and I think that should continue outside of whatever they're studying, their major or whatever they do. If they can also find some time to explore the different passions and hobbies, I think it will hold them in good stead when they become older. Because you'll have a passion outside of your work, which work can be a passion too. Whatever you do, your job can be your passion. And I think that's wonderful that if people, love their job, whatever they do, I think you have to love what you do ultimately.
you both are very inspiring to me, actually, and the things that you do, the way that you feel about certain things, I'd like to emulate a lot of that, and I'm sure our viewers will feel the same way once they listen to this.
Oh, Grishma, you're very sweet. Thank you.
That's very kind.
That's so sweet. You're very sweet.
We certainly don't think that way on a daily basis. But no, thank you so much. That is very kind of you.
I like to do a lot of the things that you've done. I mean, not the exact same things, but I mean, I'd like to see a few facets of what you've done integrated into my life as well. And I would love to end the podcast on this note of finding meaning while also having a lot of passion for all of the great things that you do in your career, which both of you are doing. But outside of that, you have such a beautiful life, and I think that's what the Chronicles podcast is all about. We we love to find a lot of different value in engineers' careers, and our alumni give us a very it's a very clear window into knowing that there is so much you can do with your life. There are so many different opportunities, and I'd like to say that we love you. Great job with everything that you're doing, and thank you for coming on to this podcast. If you have any closing notes to add.
Oh, we love you too. You guys are doing amazing. We love this concept. This is so wonderful. I don't think we did, I remember like when UVC was, they were trying, I think they wanted to move the campus to outskirts of Bangalore, right? And we were so disappointed. We put some funds in. I know there was this petition that we signed. We don't want that campus to go away. We want that campus to stay there because those trees are just so gorgeous. That quadrangle is what brings back all these memories. So the 4 years at UVC, I think, is some of the best memories we've had. And you know what? College should be a lot of fun. It should also be, you learn, of course, you're going to learn, you're going to be a student, you're going to learn all these subjects, you have exams to do, there's going to be that stress, but at the same time, it's to have a wonderful experience. And I think that's what UVC has brought to us. And I am so, so proud of you guys for doing this because it is definitely something we're going to look back on and feel proud about. It is,
Yeah.
we would have never done something like this. So hats off to you guys.
So Grishma and Adrian, speaking to you, both of you, I certainly feel very glad that the future is in good hands. So congratulations, great jobs, and I know you guys will be wonderful human beings by the time you get to our age, and you would have accomplished a lot more. I am very confident of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for all of those kind thoughts. And while I certainly am not that confident about a lot of stuff that you said, I hope it extends to all of our viewers and they feel the same about the wishes that you've given. And I hope that you continue to lead such amazing, exciting lives every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Grishma.
Thank you, Grishma. Thank you very much.